Thank you so much to Andrew for doing the new
Isn't that
intro.
great?
Yeah, great. Really adds
Andrew
something,
is just like one
genius.
of he is so creative. If you guys look, if you are a home gamer, and we all are now, just that little slide that Andrew. Can you put that back up? Can you play that?
Yeah, sure.
Just play it again. Look at this. This is just so good. And he did the music. Whoop,
sorry.
Wrong one. There you go. Come on, love.
It's just so dramatic end. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're a home gamer. If you're doing, Facebook and Zoom and all that kind of stuff, imagine just having that as a bump slide before you go. Having
what difference it makes.
Have him making. I don't know what.
I think Lane's graphics and Andrew's videography and makes such a difference.
Yeah.
It really
so
does.
if you want, I don't even know Andrew's email. I know it's SoundTank.
Isn't it Andrew at soundtank.com?
Somebody
the soundtank.com. Yeah, Heather's probably put it right. I think it's Andrew at the soundtank.com.
Yeah, he would help you build your business, and you would help him build his. It would be just great.
It's a win-win.
It's an empowered moment. Yeah.
Well done.
Hey, this morning it was so great. I'm having like coffee this morning with 800 people this morning watch the sunrise with us.
Well, we're all sharing it, aren't we?
So,
just by joining in.
1,000 people shared it like before I left the house this morning. It's so great. It is
great.
And it was epic this morning. I mean, God's really kind of showing off this morning.
It's nice. It's been nice every day, and the sunsets as well, actually. Yeah. Because Florida's not on the west coast, so I always think it's a sunrise.
Well, we get
but the sunsets are great, aren't they?
Well, Key West and Key West, Tampa, all those guys, they get all this stuff.
But even here, where it goes down,
it goes beautiful.
There's all the pastel colours,
green and purple,
and I haven't quite worked out how, but the colours over the sea look nice when the sun's going down over there.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So
it really is incredible. So every morning we start around 7:16. The sun starts to pop up at 7:17. Jump on and just for a few moments turn everything off and just the sound of the waves and watch the sunrise with us. There's, like I said, there's 800 people. I don't think it ever dropped much below 350 at any one time, but
Sunrisers Club.
Yeah, it is. It's a coffee club, and it's so great. Hey, our thoughts and prayers go out to our friend Bethany. Her grandma passed away, so we just send you our love there, Bethany.
It's a tough time of it recently, hasn't she?
Yeah, and Scott Benham too. Our friend Scott Benham lost his dad.
Yeah,
so Scott, we're sending Scott and Kaylin.
Young as well, wasn't it? 67.
Yeah. So we're sending you our love, Scott and Kaylin. Just sorry to hear that. So.
What are we talking about today? Man's Search for Meaning.
Yesterday,
Me and Meaning.
Yeah, today,
session 2.
All I can tell you is this lesson here is going to blow you away. There are probably, as we were rehearsing it just in the last hour or so, there's probably 10 different little mini lessons in this. Make sure you've got enough paper. That's all I'm going to say, because this is really good stuff that's coming up.
Yeah.
You're going to love today. This is going to be epic. So how does people participate and all that kind of stuff? We want you to share and join.
We want make sure you're a part of the group as well as the page, because some of the resources are going to be there. Some are going to be on the email list. But if you jump in to meandmeaning.com, we've put all of the resources in one place, and this will get you on the email list.
Did you
as well
find a brighter green, Roddy?
Well, I wanted it to stand out.
It kind of washes it away.
First of all, I did it in white and so it all matched, but it didn't have the same kind of...
How about we do this? How about from now on you send that to Andrew and let Andrew make these decisions? Yeah.
So it's like meandmeaning.com. Meandmeaning.com.
And there you register for the program. So you will have to it's a free program. It's complimentary. We're living into our commitment to give this to you for free. Now, there's no license for this particular program, so you can't buy a license.
Right.
But you do still have to register at
meandmeaning.com. Then you get all the resources in one place.
All in one portal.
Because we're going to be adding to them actually as we go. There's some videos of Viktor Frankl from 30, 40, 50 years ago that we're going to add in there. And then we'll talk at the end about your crush from last time we did it, Alice Summer.
I just fell in love with her. And
the oldest Holocaust survivor and the oldest pianist.
You're going to love her. She's just, if you have a heart for old people, this video
Yeah.
I must have watched that video 100 times.
Yeah.
I bet I
She's
watched it.
very, very special.
And
and it fits today with happiness, of course, because
we didn't
great attitude.
We didn't get a chance. We didn't get a chance to get all this over to Lane Jones. I can't wait for Lane Jones to get her hands on today's session, because I know the workbook that she's going to make for all of you is just going to be incredible. And again, this is for your own personal study. There's no license yet to teach this. But you have lifetime access to it for free. It's a free program.
Yeah.
So
register at Meaning. All you do is, couldn't be simpler really. Just pop your name in, pop your email in, click submit, and that's it. You'll have access.
So where do they
just go to
memeandmeaning.com
and you share that with people. Encourage your friends
free
to join as well. memeandmeaning.com.
And for those of you that are looking for a program to teach at this time, if you're looking for a program to teach, we gave 5.
Not one. Not 2.
5 wonderful lessons, and I'm sure in the comments they'll put how you can get a hold of those lessons. Those lessons, you have lifetime access for your own personal growth, and for those of you that are speakers and teachers and trainers and coaches, you can bring that to your clients, and you can charge whatever you want. It's our gift to you to help you grow your business, to grow your engagement, to grow your connection with your community during this time, so that you can be prepared for when things turn here, and they're going to turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you say just before you said that Boris Johnson's got the coronavirus?
Yeah, I saw that this morning. Yeah,
that's because he's so kind of social, isn't he? He can't social distance.
He's a high I, right? He can't help himself.
All the high I's get it right.
Yeah.
They can't social distance.
Yeah. Well, that's why they were saying in Italy, in addition to there being so many Chinese immigrant work in the fabric
I see.
and fashion industry in the northern part of the country.
Oh.
Many of them came from Wuhan, and they work in those factories.
Right.
But also in Italy, there's
no personal space in Italy, is there?
Well, they love each other, and they culturally, they have grandparents stay living with the family.
Right.
So you have the younger generation, you have a millennial generation, you have the parents of the millennials, and then you have the grandparents or great-grandparents.
So they're all together all
in
the time
one home,
with very little personal space.
And they hug and kiss.
And,
Italians hug and kiss. It's what we do.
They share everything.
Yeah. So
okay.
We're praying for those. Yeah. So let's talk about this is because yesterday we talked about suffering in the face of circumstance.
Yeah.
And how we can find meaning.
Yeah,
through suffering.
I picked this quote out from yesterday because I think it kind of captures a lot of the meat. I know that without the suffering, the growth I have achieved would have been impossible.
That's so powerful of a thought. That is so powerful of a thought.
And again, particularly for Frankl to say this,
Yeah, and I think what we're saying in this whole program is that Frankl has more authority.
Yeah.
To say what he said.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is that we want you to internalize this program and ask yourself what meaning means to you. And we're going to share what we think.
Right.
But we want you to draw your own conclusions. So this is a great study for you to really internalize this lesson and to look at your own life. Look at some of the past suffering that you've had and how you've assigned meaning or value to those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for Frankl to say, there's meaning in suffering is completely different for someone who stubs their toe, takes a month off work and writes a book. It's, you see, there's always something good.
Gets laid off and
that's a bit different. Yeah, so he's got that moral authority, as you said. So meaning and suffering we talked about. He said, today we're going to talk about meaning and happiness and look at meaning from that perspective. Then Monday it will be now, won't it? Meaning and motivation. Then meaning and conditioning, meaning on purpose. So all the time building layer upon layer of really trying to get to what meaning is by looking at what it is or maybe and what it's not.
So
People, love, and meaning.
8 information-packed sessions over probably 12 or 13 days. Tonight, Roddy's going to be leading the 6 p.m. sharing call. So jump on. Just jump on and, if you've got a thought, if you've got an idea about this lesson, we'd love to hear it. If you want to share something about what's going on, if you just need to be heard, we're here for you. And then do not miss tomorrow morning, the Saturday show at 9:30. We have Reagan Wagner, a financial planner, who's really going to help us understand what's going on in the markets, and what that looks like. Sunday, we're all taking off. Monday, we're back to 10:30 again with me and Meaning. Also, send in, we're looking for a 30 to 60 second, just fun video. Fun, funny, it could be a blooper, It could be old, it could be new, something that you and your family get together and send it in. Somebody's putting it in the comments right now where you send in your video clip for our April Fool's contest, and we are giving 10 $100 gift certificates to Amazon.com. That'll buy 2 or 3 rolls of toilet paper these days. And
yeah, but it's like a month delivery now with Amazon, isn't it?
And
so
we're also
need to think ahead.
Well, you buy protein bars, what you buy right now, and then also we're gonna give away some of our signature licenses to our signature programs, the license right for you to teach those programs. So some good contests. We got, I think we're up to almost nearly 30 submissions for the April Fool's contest. It could be something funny, could be something goofy, could be anything. That's what we're looking for. We just want to have some fun, right? We're
cash prizes.
Cash prizes. We're trying to be a fun distraction for everybody. So jump in and participate. And again, tomorrow morning, the sunrise.
Yeah.
Join the Sunrise Club. It's
Sunrise
great.
Club.
Yeah.
Okay, so today, for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes, we're talking about meaning and happiness. Meaning and happiness. And so I think a great question for us to think about for you at home or you wherever you are to think about, what does make you happy?
Yeah.
Think about it. What does make you happy? The worksheet should be on the portal if you go to meandmeaning.com, by the way. And actually, if you missed yesterday's, if you're tuning in today, all of the resources are going to be in meandmeaning.com. If you register there, you'll be able to see yesterday's lesson and yesterday's worksheet, today's worksheet. They'll all be in one place for you, plus all of the bonus resources. So this is one of the questions. What makes you happy?
Yeah.
Think about it, because it's very kind of personal, isn't it? What makes you happy? It's different for everyone. Some people like some things, and some people like other things. Like you like that. What do you call it? The Beast or the Stairmaster?
Well, I don't know. Let's not go so far as to say I like it. No,
you found meaning in it.
I do love it
because you do it. So you must do.
You know, it's a great exercise because I can get on that thing and then forget about it. I can watch TV. I can listen to an audiobook.
Right.
And I've come to enjoy that time. I mean, I had a long day yesterday, and when I got home, I got on that thing for 30 minutes and burned 500 calories.
Right. Yeah. So there's some meaning you associate with it. I don't know whether it would be happiness or.
No. It's for me. It's I know I'm investing in my future. I know I'm helping my health.
Right.
And
right. So that's
I mean, you bring up a good point. What makes one person happy may make another person unhappy. Loud music is a great example.
Yeah,
like,
Susan loves
listening. Emily needs quiet, or does she need sound?
She likes stuff going on around her. Same as Susan has to have music on.
Yeah.
I just need quiet. I cannot. It drives me mad. I can't think because I'm thinking about what's or I sing along in my head or it drives me mad. So I like quiet. And then I can, so.
Yeah.
And another good one is we went to Disney a month or so back, and you see like the roller coaster type or the rides, and the queues or the lines that go with them. And for some people, it's so exciting to be in the line and they're going on, and then and for other people, it drives them mad. I mean, imagine you in a 90-minute queue, or John Maxwell in a 90-minute line to do a ride.
No, forget it. Yeah.
And then for some people actually on the ride, it would be terrifying, and for others, it would be so exhilarating.
Yeah.
So for some, it's suffering, and some, it's pure joy and bliss.
So this is a personal. What is it that makes you happy?
What about something like you're talking about Boris Johnson and I, social interaction for some people. Some people like to be on their own, don't they? And some people hate being on their own.
Some people hear networking opportunity and they're like, yes, let's go.
Like Chris Robinson, who was our guest a month ago or so, wasn't he? It's like he's away for special time with his son, and he drags his son to a
networking event.
Yeah, brilliant. So he likes being around people and likes networking, and other people that would be hell.
Right.
So everyone's different. So I think in order for us to kind of work through this lesson, we need to kind of revisit for some of you, and for those of you who are new, very briefly just introduce you to our friend the stick man, just the first couple of pieces of this.
So when we think about what makes me happy, we want to understand the process that happens to register the feeling. So we allow this circle to represent the mind. Now, think of this differently than the brain. This is the mind. Mind is the activity that's found in every single cell of our being. So completely different. Now, of course, we also have a body, and it's not that, we're bad graphic artists here and we made the mind so much larger than the body. It's just that, everything is an expression of the mind. Now, we separate that mind into two parts. There's a top part, which we will refer to as our conscious mind, and the bottom part we refer to as our subconscious mind. Now, again, we're keeping this very simple. We know there's all different, parts to the mind, but for this understanding, all we have to understand is that our conscious mind is where our ability to think is. We have our thoughts there, and we can choose any thought we want. Now, our subconscious mind is not our thinking mind. Our subconscious mind is it's our emotional mind. This is where our self-image lies. This is where our self-belief lies. This is our feeling mind. Now, feeling is a word that we created to describe our conscious awareness of our body temple's vibration. In other words, every thought has a calibrated frequency of vibration. And so when we think a thought, it registers in our subconscious mind as a vibration or as a feeling. Now, oftentimes we want to think, well, where do we get thoughts? Well, one of the ways we get our thoughts is we get them from our outside world. So we let these 5 antennae here represent our 5 physical senses, our ability to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. It's how we interact with our outside world. And to a large degree, how we interact with our outside world definitely has the potential to influence our thoughts. And if we're not careful, they not only influence our thoughts, they can easily control our thoughts.
Well, let's look at that actually. So if we take that kind of basic understanding of the stick person then and think of maybe a negative circumstance, the negative circumstance is picked up through the senses, as you said, isn't it? We see it, we hear it, we're aware of it, and it influences our thinking, and maybe we're thinking of suffering. It's a negative experience in our mind and also in our body. So our thoughts and our feelings are affected by that circumstance.
They're congruent, aren't they?
Yeah. And then the same thing in a more kind of positive area, a positive circumstance, something that we see or hear or we're aware of, it changes the way we think and it changes the way we feel.
And in fact, it's impossible to be thinking one thing and feeling another.
Yeah.
These are always going to be congruent.
The thoughts are impressed upon the subconscious and change the way we feel, yeah. So you could say there that our thinking and our feeling is affected by our circumstances.
Or controlled, and many people do. They say, it's not my fault, somebody made me do.
Well, yeah, but then if we look at it from a different perspective, what about 2 people in the same circumstance? Do they always then, in a negative circumstance, does everyone always feel the same? No, they don't. We know they don't. Not everyone thinks the same things about things. Otherwise, we'd all suffer with the same problems and no one would be able to solve them, would they?
Right.
But people see it differently. They think about it differently and they feel about it differently. So we'll use the kind of purple there as a negative circumstance, creating 2 different thoughts and states in those 2 different individuals. Similarly, a positive experience or circumstance would be suffering still for some people and create happiness for others, depending on how they see it. So if we look at that kind of idea of a circumstance then, if one person sees it in one way and one person sees it in a different way, it must be that there's both kind of good and bad, I suppose.
And not only could there be good and bad, by law, the law of polarity, there's 7 laws of creation that we teach. And these are the 7 laws that create the way that we think, behave, and ultimately design and control our lives. And so no matter what the circumstances are, at any given moment, if there is something positive about that circumstance, then by law there must be the potential for something negative. And if there's something negative about the circumstance, by law there is the potential for us to find or harvest or assign meaning for its good.
Yeah, so you can say the wind blows and that's out beyond our control, but we can set our sails accordingly.
Yeah.
And so the pessimist or the life-draining person or the person who's in the habit of seeing what's wrong with everything, they're going to look at this circumstance and they're going to focus on the bad. Their attention is going to go on the bad, whereas the life-giving person or the optimist or the positive person or the person who's looking for it, maybe they're in the habit or maybe it needs to be intentional, they're looking for the good in the circumstance, and of course it changes the way they feel. So that for a predominantly, let's say this is a obviously good circumstance to the majority of people, they still see it like this. And an obviously bad circumstance for the majority of people, they still see it like this, yeah. So both exist, and it becomes a question then of where we where we focus, doesn't it? And that's based on the meaning.
And I think what we're teaching and what Frankl talked about is that in between this space, between the circumstance and you exercising dominion over all things, meaning your dominion to think into what you want to think about as a response to this condition or circumstance, lies your greatest power. There, he says, between the stimulus of the condition or circumstance and your response is your greatest power. It's because that's your power to choose, your choice to assign meaning. And Frankl has a great quote that supports that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's what we talked about yesterday, didn't we? We touched on it, and you said, that's my favourite quote. I think there's a lot in that. But if you think about it, that gap, not everyone's aware of it, are they? Because some people don't realise there's a gap there, and they feel like the world is happening to them. Yeah. Other people do realise there's a gap, and they take advantage of it, and they choose something different, or choose to go in a different direction.
Yeah, and what Frankl here is saying, and let's put this quote up because I think this ties into it, is he says, suffering ceases to be suffering the moment we exercise that. The moment we exercise our God-given ability to have dominion over all things, which means our ability to apply or assign meaning.
Right.
And the question here is can we make suffering meaningful in some way?
Well, we were talking about it this morning just before we started, and you got your checking on that. What does purpose mean? What's the definition of purpose? What's the definition of meaning? And it was actually very interesting, wasn't it? What the differences between the two, and very kind of germane to what we're talking about.
Yeah, because I think it would be easy for us to look at this and be thinking of this lesson, or be thinking of what Frankl's been teaching here as a lesson in purpose, and it's not. See, purpose is a belief that something has a use or a reason for being. Meaning, however, is different than that. Meaning is the value or values which are assigned to that belief. And of course, we assign the value. And so one of the things that we teach is we talk about this kind of law of sacrifice. And we say that, if we want to create change in our life, we have to look at our life, and we apply our understanding of the law of sacrifice. The law of sacrifice says that we have to be willing to let go of things of a lesser value for the things of a greater value to us. Now, at its lowest level, that could easily be trading. Like yesterday, when I got home after the call, and Roddy and I had a little quick meeting here. I had a really long day, and yet I still did my workout. Now, I didn't necessarily want to get on the beast for it's called the beast for a reason. It's an automatic stair stepper. So for 30 minutes, you're just going up the steps. Not
making any progress.
Yeah, you're dripping sweat, and it's hard. But I've assigned a value to that. I've said, instead of watching TV, something of a lesser value, I'm going to do something that I've assigned value to of a higher value. So at its lowest level, it's trading. I'm trading TV for working out. I'm trading a salad over ice cream, right? That's trading. The law of sacrifice isn't about the trading. It's about your God-given right to assign value, to assign meaning. For me to say, I'm going to define me eating ice cream of a lesser value, and me eating salad or something healthy, a healthier choice, as a higher value. So the moment I begin to define the value of things, now when I go to live my purpose, now I have meaning behind the purpose. So let's go back to the purpose, and let's look at it again.
Okay, go ahead.
Good. So when I assign a value to something, then when I go to bring and live that purpose, not only am I more likely to follow through on that purpose, but as I'm doing that purpose, it has meaning in my life.
Right. I was going to say, it's not really sacrifice when you assign that value,
That's
is it? It's
right.
the wrong word once you. It's an investment, or
That's right.
it's a logical choice.
And I think that's why the law of sacrifice is so misunderstood.
Right.
Because people are seeing it as kind of letting go of one thing and grabbing onto another, and it's
letting
really
go of
not.
something I really want because I have to do something. That's a sacrifice, but it's the other way around.
And actually, if you understand what the true expression of the law is, you never have to let go of something.
Right.
Because you've assigned a lower value to it, so it falls away from you. In other words, if I assign a lesser value to something, it loses its vibrational charge or attachment to me. Think of it this way, have there ever been a time in your life when you were in a place called here and you wanted to go there, you had a new goal, and maybe 6 months later when you reach that goal, you look back at your life and you realize that some of the relationships you had in your life are, some of those people, didn't make the journey with you. Some of the habits you had here didn't make it. Now, it's not that you had an argument with people or that you fought really hard to change your behavior. It's that those things were no longer in harmony with your vibration. In other words, they fell away. They were no longer in resonance with who you were giving birth to.
Right. No, that's good. So it really kind of promotes highlights the importance of meaning and puts this question, well, it ought to be at the front of our minds. The great task for all of us, really, is to find meaning in our life, isn't it?
Yeah. Because if we can find meaning, then establishing purpose is so much easier.
Yeah.
People who question, I don't know what my purpose is, they might want to start with then what am I valuing?
Right.
What do I value? So it ties right into this other question that we're saying is, what do you want? Because what most people are asking is the wrong question. Socrates thought that the quality of the questions we ask determine the quality of the answers we get. And most people are asking, what should I do? And so the answer to the question of what should I do is always the same. Well, what do you want?
What do you want? Yeah, what outcome do you want?
Yeah,
How do you want to live?
If that's what you want, then do the things that would move you in that direction.
Right.
Whether they are small or large. And for most people, we will say, I want this, but I can't have that because I don't know how to do it, or the steps that are currently in my awareness, the things that I can do in my awareness to get me there seem so small and so insignificant, it wouldn't make a change, and yet it makes all the change.
What difference could it possibly make?
Yeah,
all the difference in the world.
All the difference in the world, because we often use the analogy of if you were flying from Los Angeles to New York, and you just turned course direction 1 degree, you'd be in Canada or Mexico.
Yeah.
1 degree.
Yeah. Just a few hours later.
Yeah, you change the trajectory of your whole
Completely.
life by taking one simple step. It's not the step. It's the meaning that you've assigned to the step that registers in your other than conscious mind as saying, well, hold it. He's serious or she is serious about this.
We're really going to do this.
We're really going to do this.
Yeah.
There's a shift in the vibrational frequency of that.
And the more of those types of things that you identify and complete, then the more successful people would generally say that you are.
Yeah, and it would be very easy for us to recognize, we're talking about meaning and happy, how much happier would you be if you were spending your days doing what you wanted, not what you should be doing, right?
Yeah.
Let go of your shoulds and hold on to your wants.
Right.
Right? But this next piece here comes from Earl Nightingale, and it is perhaps the best definition of success I've ever seen. It says, success is the progressive realization of the worthy ideal. Now, there's not a lot of words there, but there's a lot of meaning. And what I mean by that is as Roddy walks you through this, I think this is just a brilliant lesson. He showed me this morning, and I thought, this is really, really brilliant. I had never looked at it this way, and it has me falling in love with this quote more and understanding this quote more than I ever did before. Will you walk us through this?
Yeah,
This is
well, there's so
brilliant.
much in it, isn't there? It's 9 words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 words. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And it says so much. And I don't think that you could do it with less, and you don't need any more, I think. And if you just change some of them, it completely changes the the meaning of the quote, and it also helps you understand why it's so powerful. So if we take that one out, for example, if we take progressive out, then it reads, success is the realization of a worthy ideal. Now that's very different from success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, because the realization of a worthy ideal is just something that you've immediately got, isn't it? So it's just done.
And you don't see yourself successful until you reach it.
Yeah.
Which,
so you're right.
So,
yeah. So
which means
it's
you're
not a journey.
No, that means you're a failure until you get there.
Right.
I mean, how are you going to reach a level of success processing that you're a failure all the way the way there?
Whereas if you're progressively realizing it, you're successful en route. All the way there.
In the intention and in the effort.
Yeah.
Lies your success,
because you're pointing in that direction and you're struggling and efforting
you're
to
doing
get there.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of key. Success is the realization of a worthy ideal is something very different. But then also, worthy is very, very important as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Success is the realization of an ideal is very different from success is the realization of a worthy ideal. So there's like a dimension to this.
Yeah.
If it's just achieving something you want, that's a much lower level than achieving something progressively that you've identified as being worthy.
I mean, you talk about words having meaning and words having value. I mean, when you look at this idea, success is the progressive realization. In other words, I know that Les Brown, one of the greatest speakers of all time, slept on his brother's couch for 14 years in a place of self-judgment before he picked up a microphone. John Maxwell waited 6 years before he wrote his first book. I waited years before I started teaching. Well, I was too young. I'm a high school dropout. I'm not successful enough. I had all the reasons why. And what Nightingale was saying here is that success isn't that destination. It's the moment you begin to live your life in congruency with what your worthy ideal is, then you're successful. And so you don't need to wait as a speaker. So many of you are speakers and coaches, and you're waiting. You're thinking, well, I don't have a story, or I can't stand in front of a live audience or a corporate audience with authority until I've made $1 million. And it's not so. The question is are you in process? You don't need to have reached your $1 million goal in order to start teaching about reaching $1 million goals. But you do
as long as you're making progress.
As long as you have a goal for $1 million and you're in process and you're doing it. This is where I came up with my own personal quote that says, if I were a block of marble, Michelangelo would still be chipping away at me because I'm still in process.
Yeah.
And you know what? I better be. I don't ever.
It's a lifelong thing, isn't it?
I don't ever want to think that I've reached my. I've reached. Some of. I've been watching. Certainly, of course, John Maxwell, but I've been watching Jack Canfield. I've been watching, Brian Tracy. I've been watching a lot of other thought leaders during this time, and they're all trying to grow.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Les Brown. He said, "When the end comes, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not sliding down an old one." That's a great way.
It's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're lifelong learners.
Yeah.
So success is the... Well, actually, just, if you're thinking about this quote, it's not just about having $1 million, because let somebody say somebody's teaching on making money because they've been given $1 million, or they win $1 million, or by luck they got $1 million, but they can't replicate it.
Right.
Then they're not equipped to teach somebody else how to do it, are they? But if somebody else is working towards it on their way and they're learning the lessons and they can teach the lessons, then they're much better able to do it. So this quote is genius, really.
Well, it's one of the things that I think when all of this crisis started, what you and I committed to is that you and I were in this industry as speakers and trainers in 2008. We had walked that as an entrepreneur. I was in business during the recession of '88. I was in business, during the AIDS crisis. I was in business during the terrorist attacks in 9/11, through swine flu, through the financial
mad cow disease,
through the challenges. So I can bring those experiences. But had I not been in process all
Right.
of those things,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
and
be
still in
equipped.
process. now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look how much we're learning from just going
We've
through
learned
this.
so much. We've
Yeah.
grown so much. Just our small little team here at Empowered Living.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been forced to stretch and grow.
And it brings you closer together, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
you're united against a
Yeah.
a common obstacle or a common challenge or a common goal.
Yeah,
United
absolutely.
behind a common goal.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at
this.
what
Yeah,
Frankl
this
says.
is so
'cause
good.
It's the
Go
same
ahead.
thing, isn't it? What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. What he needs is not the discharge of tension at any cost, but the call of potential meaning waiting to be fulfilled by him.
Guys, take a picture of that.
Oh my
quote.
goodness,
I mean,
that's
it's
epic, isn't it?
I mean, you could unpack. I mean, you could unpack this for the whole day.
Right,
You can
yeah.
unpack
I picked out some words I knew you'd want to kind
Yeah.
of focus on and dig into that.
Yeah, what he says here, what man actually needs is not a tensionless state.
Maybe not what he wants,
Yeah.
but what he needs.
Yeah, it's what's necessary when we think of the word needs. It's what's necessary. We need. It's necessary for our attention because it's that tension, it's that struggle that allows us to be in the growth zone. I think of little Eliza in the video that we play often, and of her, and she's on the floor, and she has this plastic circular tube on her back with a big X on it so that she can't roll over and relax.
Yeah.
And the purpose of that was to keep the tension, to keep her in the growth zone.
Yeah.
And that's where all growth takes place. So let's go back to the quote. He says we need that tension. We don't thrive in a tensionless state. But he says what man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling
Yeah.
for some goal worthy of him. In other words, it is the struggle that forces us to find the deep reservoirs of skill, talent, ability, and potential inside of us.
And we wouldn't be struggling if we knew how to do it, would we? So that's
Absolutely.
part of that climb, of that growth, that journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is when our back is right up against the wall that we find the best of us. It's one of the reasons why in the 5 lessons that we gave you to listen to for your own personal growth and for you to teach your clients, one of those was this lesson on confusion. And basically what we're saying in the lesson of confusion is we know that confusion is a frustrating state for us to be in, but it's a necessary state because if you weren't confused, it's because you already know the answer or you quit trying.
And then you're probably sliding down an old mountain, not climbing up a new one.
But yes, and if we look at this, because I think this is really powerful, it's finding a goal worthy of him.
Yeah.
And one of the things Roddy and I teach in some of our lessons is we talk about the 5 mistakes that people make when they set goals. And the 4th mistake that people make is they question whether they are worthy of the good that they desire. And we should never approach our goals questioning whether we are worthy of the goal. We should be questioning, is that goal worthy of us? Because you're going to have to trade your life for it. Listen, your goal doesn't want some of your money, it wants all of your money. It doesn't want some of your creativity, it wants all of your creativity.
everything.
It doesn't want some of your time, it wants all of your time. It doesn't want some of your imagination, it wants all of your imagination. It doesn't want some of your connections, it wants all of it. It doesn't want some of your influence, it wants all of it. It wants all of you. It's going to require it wants your life force. It wants your time, it wants your talent, it wants your treasure. So you better make sure that the goal you're picking is a worthy trade for you, that it's worthy of you. Every single one of us at one level of awareness and truth, we're on a Facebook Live and you're watching either the live or the recording, and you're learning a lesson and we're teaching a lesson, and that's one degree of truth. But the higher degree of truth in all of this is that Roddy and I are trading our life for this.
And so are they.
And you're trading yours. We don't ever get these grains of sand that have gone through the hourglass back. This is not this is not the dress rehearsal for the big show one day. Today's the day of the show, y'all. This is it. This is the show. And so we want to make sure that we're picking goals that are worthy of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're trading your life for it. That's a very sobering way of looking at it.
You want to take the other half of this, because this idea of call of potential is just...
I think that's great.
It's so powerful.
What he needs is not the discharge of tension at any cost. So not just getting rid of the tension relieving activities or whatever it is that, letting go of stress and downtime and taking it easy and putting our feet up. That's not what we need. But the call of potential meaning, that means it's there, it's waiting. The call of potential meaning, and it's potential until we kind of identify it and assign it. So it's there waiting for us, and it's calling us, is waiting to be fulfilled by us. Yeah. So the responsibility, the onus really is on us, isn't it? The call of potential meaning waiting to be fulfilled by us. Yeah, so powerful.
Life is waiting. Life is waiting for us. Life is waiting for us to assign meaning. To assign meaning to things.
It's huge, isn't it?
If you think about it, that's what life is waiting. The universe, God, is sitting back and saying, where will you find value? When will you value who you are? When will you value the gifts that I've given you? When and what value will you give it? Will you squander it?
Right.
Or will you recognize the treasure? And he covers it in this next quote just beautifully, eh?
The point is not what we expect from life, but rather what life expects from us.
It's so
That's
powerful.
So good, isn't it?
When you tie it into the kind of the stream of consciousness that we're not talking about finding a purpose in your life. This is not a lesson on purpose. This is a lesson on meaning. This is a lesson on, and I think when I think when you begin to search for meaning, it's very much like tithing. A search for meaning puts you into instant and constant connection to God. It really does, because you begin to realize all those things that you're going to begin to assign value to came from somewhere.
Right.
And it's been a blessing that you even have that.
Yeah.
And you recognize the source of that.
Yeah, and when you're wrestling with that or even thinking about that, that's where the breakthroughs come, doesn't it? Because suddenly you're like, oh my goodness, I can see this and understand this in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And then everything changes. Everything changes. Fantastic. Okay, let's look at this from the same last two slides in a slightly different perspective.
This is brilliant here.
So we got different kind of levels, I suppose, because we're talking about, I suppose we're talking about, are your goals or your desires noble? Are they noble goals, or are they
worthy of you?
Yeah,
worthy of you?
So at the beginning, at the lowest level that we're identifying here, the kind of the most unsophisticated level of understanding, we're worried about what we have. So if somebody gives you a car, you feel good and you feel better than other people because you've got a better car and you're placing the value on the car. So it's what you have, or if you have money or whatever you have. So the lowest level, it's what you have is important. But then that's not sufficient, is it? It's not enough to have. You focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think that what's beautiful is you look at this. For those of you who've been in part of our community and through our other programs, think of this through the 7 levels of character that we taught in As a Man Thinketh. Mm-hmm. Think of this through the 7 levels of awareness that we guided through, I think, in TAGR 4. And so at this lowest level, it's kind of like it's almost in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We find fulfillment and
right.
find purpose and find meaning in the collection of things to have. Right.
Yeah, and the more we've got, the better we
feel the more
about ourselves and everything.
But the problem is that the more attached we are to that which we have, and so when we lose that which we have, wow, our world can come crushing and falling apart.
Or we even just worry about losing
That's
it, even
right.
if we still got it.
Exactly right.
We feel fragile.
Because the attachment will drive that, won't it?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that next level is then when we outgrow that, we find value in things that we can do.
Maybe earning the money for the car or doing it. Or,
in our work.
Yeah.
In the work that we're doing. And so we find ourselves very hurriedly and anxiously trying to be productive and be effective and be efficient. And then the next thing you know is those things, you got to remember, if those things give us the sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. At what price? At what price? And so the next thing we know is those accomplishments, those things that we must do begin to control our lives. Next thing you know, we're controlled by a to-do list.
Yeah.
And when we're living at the lowest level, we're controlled by the things that own us. We don't own them; they own us.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when we start to do things, and we find all of our fulfillment in our doing, guess what? Our schedule runs our life. The day happens to us. We don't happen to the day. That's why I'm just encouraging all of you. I know everybody's busy. You're busy. This crisis is probably the busiest time for most people's lives. I just challenge you to join us for sunrise. Just join us for sunrise. And for some people say, well, I don't have the time for that. So many people, I think, are going to walk away from this structural change, this new birth of an emerging structural change, an emerging future, that are going to realize maybe I don't need to be doing all the things that I thought I had to be doing. Maybe those things aren't as important. So I would encourage you, join us at sunrise. Join us tomorrow Eastern time at around 7:16 or 7:17, and just stay for 15 minutes. Shut everything off and don't do anything.
Just some peace, some calm.
Just do that. And then when we grow out of that, when we no longer find fulfillment in what we have and what we do,
then it's who we are.
Yeah.
So first of all, we're placing all our value on what we've got, and then that's not enough. We're not kind of showing off with what we've got. Now we're telling people how great we are because of the things we've done. I've done this and I'm doing this, and then on to who we are. So it's continually growing. But then this is not the end of it either, is there? Because there's another level. This is merely about us, really, isn't it? This is all of these three are about us. But even the being is who we are is for ourselves.
Yeah, and oftentimes what we're doing is we're being so that we can do and have more.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's really not being. The next level is. So it's have, do, be, but the highest level of this is being. It's in our beingness, and that's when we begin to do for others. That's why the very first thing we taught, as soon as kind of the U.S. government put down everybody into this 15 days, to flatten the curve, we thought the very first thing we need to share with our community is an empowering idea that they could be givers here. That they don't need, they don't have to worry about collecting toilet paper and hoarding. They don't have to worry about, how am I going to do my work and all the doing. They don't have to worry about how they're going to be seen and what other people will think of them as they're trying to project themselves in their doing and their having. We said the highest thing you can do right now is in your beingness. And the difference between, be, do, have and being be, do, have is that we step in and we begin to live our lives for others.
Yeah.
We make the greatest sacrifice for others. And it's in that sacrifice.
In service to others.
Show the model now again from the bottom up.
So if we look at this slightly differently, at the bottom perhaps we're unhappy, then we have some kind of success, we achieve some things, so we have some kind of achievement, and then we say we're successful, and when we begin to do things for other people, that's when we reach that highest level. John talks about the power of significance and how it's so much more than just success, isn't it? Because success is potentially all about us and what we can do, whereas significance is all about others.
It's a really powerful idea.
It really highlights this idea of service, doesn't it?
And so I think what you can see is when you are in service of others, when your beingness is on, what can I get, rather than what can I give.
Yeah.
When you're living from that place, you're challenged to be in a continual place of growth, much more than you are when you're getting your own needs met. Because, once you have X amount of money, then
how much more do you need?
Yeah, once you got a couple of houses and you've got a few $1 million in the bank, and now what?
Yeah, you can only eat one steak at a time.
Yeah, right.
Having millions of them.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now what? So what are we going to do next?
And actually, along this path, you realise that the things that you really strived for early on have very little. They're kind of pyrrhic, aren't they? They're empty. That you feel like they're important. Then when you achieve them, you realise that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it. It doesn't satisfy, and that's why the significance in the service for others.
It's an internalization of this. In other words, in this next quote, Frankl's saying is that happiness really cannot be pursued.
Yeah, it comes from the things you're doing.
Yeah, it must ensue. Just think about that for a moment and wrap your head around that. I mean, that would be just a great idea to kind of write on a Post-it note and look at before you start every new Zoom meeting you're going to jump into. You know,
put it on the mirror and read it every day. Can't be pursued. It's a byproduct of the way you live or who you are ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's this understanding of where does what you want really come from, and I think it comes from our God-given desire to want to help other people.
Yeah.
It's our nature.
But we've got to kind of get there, don't we? Because we're all starting in different places.
We've got
to get there.
We really do.
Okay, a couple more. We're going to need to wrap up shortly, so there's just a couple of
Sure.
other ones to look at. There's a
Sure.
peculiarity of man that he can only live by really looking to the future, and that's really that's the wonderful gift that we have. This imagination, we can imagine the future, we can imagine everything going wrong, or we can imagine everything going right,
Yeah.
and things that we want to achieve, which is these goals along the path, isn't it? Along the way.
And being that futurist in our thought rather than the historian of our past.
Yeah.
But there's a gap, isn't there? I mean, I think
Right.
in all of this, it's about filling gaps.
Yeah, or maybe expectation gaps.
Yeah.
So you look at, again, at the lowest level, what you have maybe, and if there's a big gap between what you have and what you really want, then that could be frustrating.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah, or what you can get versus what you expect you're going to get. That can be very disappointing, can't it? And so neither of those are going to be that productive in terms of happiness.
And you talk about when you don't fill these gaps, what you're planting is this seed of resentment. Remember, resentment is any negative emotion towards any person, place, thing, condition, circumstance, thought, or idea. And so,
right. So and then also, even if you do get, maintaining. We touched on this.
Yeah.
If you're demanding something, and you can't get it, or if you do get it, you're worried about losing it. That produces stress, doesn't it? Because you're worried about losing it. So all of these things can get in the way of happiness.
yeah.
And they're all actually, if you think about it, well, they're all attachments, aren't they? The demand for I must have this, I insist on having this, the expectations, what it is that we want. All of these are attachments. We're attached to them, and we're giving them the energy that they have over us.
And the beautiful thing is by your birthright, you've been given dominion over this.
Right.
And so here's a model that will allow you to kind of break free from some of this. And again, when you stop worrying about what you don't have, you're free to enjoy what you do have.
Yeah.
And I think how many of us are seeing this right now in our own lives where we realize, oh my goodness, there's so much I've got joy for. I mean, again, I'm loving the sunrise videos that we're doing, and I didn't realize that I've got the sunrise every day.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
You don't stop to smell the flowers, as they say.
I
You don't stop to watch the sunrise.
I wasn't enjoying it. As a matter of fact, one of the things is I've asked some of our team is jumping in and helping.
Yeah.
With the comments, because there's so many people. I'm like, because I want to enjoy the sunrise. I don't want to be. I don't want to be looking at the iPhone the whole time.
Lost in the
or
moment.
the laptop. Yeah, I want to enjoy some of the time. So, if you are part of the club, you can help with the comments and help welcome people, so we can all enjoy it. Yeah.
This was particularly poignant to us when Eliza was born and we were wrestling with this. There was a point, I don't know where she read it or where she got it from, but Susan said, when you stop worrying about what you don't have, you're free to enjoy what you have. So when you let go of all the things that she's not going to be able to do, she's not going to go to college, she's not going to live on her own probably, all of those things.
I'm going to drive a car.
Yeah, so she's just not going to live, and she's probably going to live with us for the rest of her life. Eliza is our daughter, for those of you that don't know. let go of all of our expectations and focus on what we do have, we have a joy.
Yeah, you've got Eliza singing Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
but when you're worried about everything that in your mind she's missing, then you can't enjoy that. But when you let go, she doesn't even know.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know what college is or care. No. She's happy when she's doing the things that are important to her. Yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it? Her experience, she looks out on the world from her perspective, not ours.
Yeah,
so,
and she's happy. And she's happy.
She's happy. Yeah, she's very happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this is.
Let's make this our last one, shall we? Because we need to wrap up, and this is pretty powerful.
This may be one of the most powerful ideas. He says, "I understood how a man who has nothing left in this world still may know bliss, be it only for a brief moment in the contemplation of his beloved." That is powerful. But then when you take that and you tie it to this last thought, he says, we cannot judge a biography by its length, by the number of pages in it. We must judge by the richness of the content. He says, sometimes the unfinished are among the most beautiful symphonies. And when you think of what he's saying here, he's saying the unfinished. He's talking about the lives that were lost. He's talking about the young men, the young women, the children, their life unfinished. He says, let's put the quote back up, are the most beautiful of symphonies. They're among the most beautiful of symphonies. We can't judge a biography by how long somebody lived, the number of pages. We can only judge it by the content.
Right.
And
it's beautiful, isn't it?
And when you look at that, every single day that we're living our life through this situation, we are defining who we are. We are writing a page in the book of our own character. And we will forever have that be the impression that we put into the universal field of potential, the universal field of love, the universal field of possibility. And so one of the reasons why in the 5 lessons we gave you and gifted you to speak and teach and train and sell and bring to your clients is the I amness, is that you're speaking life. I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm bored, I'm
You made me angry.
Yeah, exactly right. When we assign meaning to things. So this is just a great session. We hope that you'll join us and continue to join us. We hope that you'll share. There's a way you'll need to register for all of the resources. You just go to meandmeaning.com. You'll register, and then all of the resources will be on a portal. Please share this with other people. If this is in any way, if you took a note, if you wrote one thing down, even if it was just one of the quotes, then you got value from this. And please share it with other people so they can have value. Send in a video for our April Fool's fun video contest. And then join us tomorrow morning, 7:15, 7:16 Eastern Time for sunrise.
And if you want to drop in tonight at 6 o'clock, then I'll be here on the line at 6 o'clock to hear from people.
And tomorrow morning we're on at 9:30 Eastern Time. We're an hour earlier. Saturday show, right?
Oh yeah, an hour earlier than now. Yeah, Saturday show, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Yeah.
And we have Reagan Wagner, financial planner. So I don't know if we'll get to questions. We might, but we might want to look at your balances in your portfolio and let Reagan share some wisdom with you.
Don't forget to register yourself. Share the Me and Meaning link with other people. Register yourself because we're going to be adding to those resources, and you're going to want to see the videos of Alice.
You did a great job.
Thank you. You did a great job too.
Well done.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Thanks, guys.
Be well.